And I got a hello.
The MTG podcast is a virtual space for women and minorities in the tech and creative industries.
Tune in as we explore inspirational,
educational,
and community insights
through different perspectives, expanding the diverse cultures and societies that reflect us.
We're more than a designer.
We're more than our name badge.
We're more than the work we produce. Welcome to the More Than Graphics podcast.
We're that tribe.
What's up, y'all? What's good? Welcome. What's good, y'all? Welcome to a live episode of the More Than Graphics podcast. I'm Danielle, and I'm a techie.
I am Priscilla, and I am a creative.
And there's only two of us, but we'll probably get a third one getting in here soon as we talk more about this tribe that we've created over the past 6 seasons, y'all. We are wrapping up 6 seasons of the More Than Graphics podcast. I'm baffled a little. It feels good, right? Like I feel like we've been doing it for a while. For those who are new, this is a safe space for women in tech and women creatives. We focus a lot in the areas of minorities in this space. And I think it's really important that this topic even, right, focuses a lot on what we celebrate, but also look at and examine a little bit deeper when we talk about equity on the table. How fitting for Thanksgiving, y'all.
I wanted to say I am distracted by all the food.
All right.
I was like, yeah, next time can we do something about that?
It was a good pun, right? Like I think it was a good play on food.
It definitely fits, but all of it looks good. Is that from your table, I'm assuming?
No, ma'am. Not this week. Maybe closer to the holiday, maybe closer to Christmas or something, maybe.
Okay.
But
I'll be there. Let me know what time.
It is Thanksgiving week, y'all. And, here in the States, we have a lot of customs and traditions in and around this particular holiday. It's not celebrated everywhere else, right? It's here. It's a great opportunity to wear as much stretch pants as humanly possible, so you can fit all the goodies that you want. If you are listening in, though, from Facebook or LinkedIn or even YouTube, give us a shout. Let us know where you're listening from. We would love to say hi. But yes, you're here. Welcome to our Thanksgiving live episode, Equity on the Table, a discussion on hunger for change. We're not talking about turkey, y'all. We're getting we're going far, left or right. So you know the saying, let her cook, right? So what are we cooking? What are you up to lately, Priscilla?
Oh, I'm up to lots of things. I'm actually going to be going out of town. We're going to go visit Tanya tomorrow. So I don't know what we're cooking. I know I'm going to be baking because usually when we get together, it's like I'm the baker.
Yes.
I'm the baker. So for sure, we're going to have Rice Krispie treats because that's our little thing that we do all the time. I actually made some the other day, and I might have a little bit enough to make a mug.
Oh my goodness, those are so cute. And that's so incredibly creative too, because I didn't even think about that. I always see it like on the TikTok videos and the cool little like Food Network. Like this is what you could do with crispy crust kind of feel. And I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, you could do that little cup. Yeah.
So what about you? Are you guys staying home or are you going somewhere?
We are in 2 places. So we have 2 family Thanksgiving. So one's on the day of and the one's the weekend following. Okay. And so usually they're both big. I come from large families, one of 13, one of 9, and it's like it's always huge. We just roll at that. So I'm excited. This is kind of one of the last bigger childhood holidays that my oldest son will probably have before he moves out of home, out of state. So we're just really kind of enjoying and embracing all the feels of him seeing family that he may not see again for a while. So I'm just really excited for him to have that moment as well. Also clinging to my, my pumpkin roll and a pumpkin pie, my sweet potato pie, all the things. I'm making my signature dish for Thanksgiving is usually a sweet potato casserole. And I do it with, broken up pecan pieces as a crust on top, and that's like my jam. So I love a sweet potato casserole, but I will say, for health reasons, I have stepped back from engulfing in so much, sugar in general. But I love my version because it's definitely more whole and simplistic, not heavy cream sugars, like that sort of feel.
Yeah. Huh. Maybe I need you to send me. No, not maybe. Let this be a sign to you to send me a recipe.
Yeah, I totally will. I'll do it.
Maybe I'll try making it. Maybe I'll try making it this week while we're over there, and I'll let you know how it goes.
That would be so cool. Like, seriously, I'm so down. Like, send me your recipe for Rice Krispies so that my husband loves it. So send me your recipe and I'll see if Kevin will make it on my side.
Mine's so basic. I don't even do it the old school way that everybody did, like on the stove and stuff. Shit, I just throw that crap in the microwave. I'm like, just put a whole stick of. I'm like Paula Deen, just put a whole stick of butter in it. That's fine.
I love it. Just stick the butter in it. Just stick the butter in it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Too funny. All right. So yeah, your favorite. Usually we talk something around Thanksgiving before we get into some of the deeper stuff. But I love that, regardless of where you are, Thanksgiving is a place where people gather, right? It's always, sometimes maybe this year it's a little bit more awkward due to everything that's been happening over the past several months, specifically in the political climate. So, I mean, Thanksgiving can be a place of refuge or it can be a place of pins and needles. So wherever you are on that scale, just know that your tribe is with you. Okay. Whether you're walking in and you feel like you need to armor up, or if you're walking in because your hair's down, just know that your tribe is with you and enjoy yourself. Protect your peace.
I say, leave it at the door, right?
Yeah.
Leave it at the door, go to the table, because you guys only have enough room just to eat. That's it. Right? Save your energy for the eating.
Yeah, I heard that. Totally.
The eating and the love. That's it.
Awesome. Well, again, today we're all about these topics in and around hunger. We're talking about equity today. We've got quite a bit of topics to get through, so we can go ahead and kind of get started on those. Topic 1 talks about the hunger for representation. What are the ongoing needs for diverse representation in tech, in the tech and creative industries? And let me tell you, like, that's unceasing, right? I feel like for the two of us, we've done a lot more freelance on a lot of these opportunities, and more so than corporate in some areas. And so for me, being an entrepreneur, representation means actually being out there, like showing up. There's been so many times where I feel like I'm constantly invited, right? As a person who runs a business, is visibly seen in a business, I'm constantly invited to a ton of things. And so I have to kind of really be picky and choosy with my time and my space by representing myself in these areas. So I'm like really telling people all the time, like, that diverse representation could be the deal breaker for many of us early in our tech careers that say, yeah, I want to do this because I see someone who looks like me doing it. And same for creative, right? Right, Priscilla?
Yeah, I would say so. I think, and it's so funny though, because I'm reading this, and I think I always have a tendency to read some of this stuff differently, because I know when we're talking about that diversity, for me, the diversity is just talking about the age gap. For me,
that's
what the first thing is. Just because, I mean, of course, I'm not as out there as you are. I'm not as out there. In that sense as you are, but I think about, like, if I were to go back into the corporate space at this time with my age and with all the knowledge that goes around, that I don't keep up. I mean, I don't keep up. Mm-hmm. I just can't keep up with all the stuff. And so, that would be a concern of mine if I were to ever go back into a corporate,
mm-hmm.
Because then you think about, as far as keeping up with tech, but then also you have the creative part. But to me, creativity is like timeless. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, the tech could go like this and this, and creativity is like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Right. Skill like set versus tool.
Like girl. It's ageless.
Yes, that's right. And that's the beauty about like a lot of the things that we're in our industries, right? It's like the basics. Once you get those basics, the sky's the limit. And it
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
matter what age you are, what background you come from, when you're able to go, you can grow, right? And that's the part where I feel like a lot of us kind of sometimes get hung up on with imposter syndrome and things along those lines. But just finding that person that resembles or showcases the things that inspire you, that
oh
type
yeah,
of representation is so necessary in our spaces.
definitely, definitely.
Awesome. All right, I'm gonna keep it going. Topic 2. Wow, that was fast. I guess because there's only 2 of us versus the 3. Oh man. Topic 2. Gratitude in the face of adversity. How has cultivating gratitude helped you navigate challenges and maintain resilience?
You start because my brain's still working on the words. Next time, do 5 words or less.
So, okay, gratitude in the face of adversity. How's cultivating gratitude helped me navigate challenges? Even today, like a great example, I had a client call right before this, and I love the fact that I was able to end the call with, happy Thanksgiving. I'm grateful for you. Like just to be able to tell someone that you're grateful for them, it kind of shatters all the, any of the technicality stuff, or if there's little things that kind of get in the way sometimes between projects, it really kind of humbles everybody to say, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for the opportunity to work with another person. And I feel like that's also, for me, that is cultivating gratitude. It's waking up every day and expressing how grateful I am for the little things. The fact that I'm alive today, sitting on this podcast, talking to you all, those little things. The fact that all my dishes were kind of always done, before I decided to find a dirty spoon and try to figure out hot chocolate. Like all those kind of things are little things that we appreciate, right?
Yeah,
I have a lot of gratitude. I find gratitude a lot in the little things, and I think that's a good practice to have.
yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I think that for me, gratitude is meaning a whole lot of different things all the time. And I think, as far as helping you navigate through the challenges and stuff, and I know in my case, it's been very helpful to move forward. And then especially in those challenging spaces, and when you're looking for resilience, I know, like for instance, Zoe is trying out today. She's trying out for they're doing a musical at school. So she's going to try out for Grace from Annie. And
Yes.
she was telling me last night how nervous she was. And I said, that's normal to be nervous because you haven't done this. I said, but think of all the other big things you've done that you were able to get through. I said, this is not like they're not going to cut off your arms or whatever like that if you don't get it right. And then I was like, and then if you don't get, if it doesn't turn out the way that you want it to turn out, I said, what are you going to do with that? I said, it's not going to stop you from doing what you want to do.
Right.
It's another stepping stone, and it's a reminder to tell you that you can. Because I said the only times that she's ever been nervous is, remember, whenever she did the karate, every single time before the karate exams, I said, no, she's a black belt. I was like, so that I go, you've held a sword before. This is not a big deal. I said, you can do it. And I think that's the big thing is, with the gratitude, sometimes it's hard for us to find a gratitude. But I think in the moments like you're in a challenge or you're looking for resiliency, I think if you sit there and you think, okay, this isn't the worst thing that I've ever been through.
Right.
I have Tanya all the time. She's been through worse. Yes, I have. And I'm here now to talk about that worse,
Right.
And that's the big thing. And then when you think about that, you're like, right there's your gratitude.
I love that.
But it's a nice thing when you get to that space that you're kind of like, I think about as we get older, we're like, oh, looking back at things, you're like, it's not really that big of a deal. But it's hard to remember it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Before. Like I think about this one moment, I think I told you I had watched a 90210 episode.
Hey, I'm for it.
And they had this one episode where it was like Brenda was talking with the girls, and it was this moment, the music, and I was like, me watching it as an adult, I know I've seen this before. I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And it was like, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then it ended up being something like, she had on the same shirt that I did, or something like
Yes.
that. I think about, I was in it, but it's like, you think that, yes, wherever we are, that's like, it's so huge and stuff. But when we can step away or we get past that thing,
Mm-hmm.
it's not so much. And it is that in that moment, like for me, when I was able to, here's my daughter going through something, but I was able to be grateful that I was able to say, hey, I witnessed you being in something. And I think Tanya probably does the same thing. Hey, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about it at all. I'm not worried about it at all. But if you need me to be worried for you, I'll do it. But you'll
I
be
love
fine,
it.
Yeah.
I love that. And that also leads to like that resilience part, right? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like when we're able to build resilience, it's usually because of some sort of interaction we've had with others around us in our environment. And so, again, a critical point on how we cultivate gratitude is all about the things that we surround ourselves with, the people we surround ourselves with. So, just kind of going back to that, I love how you mentioned for the audition. Like, first off, I'm a huge Annie fan. Let me just say that out loud. If I had known this earlier, we could have been practicing. Like, oh my gosh,
we can still practice.
I love it. I'm such a huge fan, and I love Gracie. Gracie is one of the characters that I personally have experienced, and it's great. And so I love the fact that she gets that. That makes me like, I'm not gonna cry. Okay, not gonna cry. But I love that. What a beautiful way to, like, for real, teach your daughter about, resilience and having that gratitude that yes, you can, because you've done harder things, similar things before. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. Topic 3 before I get my tissues out. Mentorship and community support. How important is mentorship and community support in fostering a sense of belonging and empowering women and minorities in these fields?
Super important.
So I have like this, I kind of want to circle back here to like pay gaps and career advancement. We talk about hunger, right?
Yeah.
And we talk about like how we hunger for things as women in these particular areas, as minorities in these areas. We hunger for what, I don't want to say other people have, but the attainability, the accessibility that other people have, right? That are not necessarily people of color. And so it's really interesting to me how we have been able to use different types of story arcs to reflect that hunger. And I know you just recently, both of us actually, experienced Wicked. And so that's just like one way that we can see how these character arcs related, so reflective of people of color, can experience something and talk about perceptions and things along those lines. Your thoughts on that?
As soon as you said Wicked, I was just like, okay, I don't know what we're talking about anymore. I've been listening to it. I was at Target and I was all in it and stuff. But
I don't put it past you.
Come back again. Well, I know. Where is Cicely? Because I'm always like, hey, Cicely, take it away and I'll catch up.
I know, definitely. But yes, definitely kind of in this situation when we're talking specifically about that kind of hunger. Like
Yeah.
we see, like I said, if you haven't gone seen Wicked, please go do it. That's the reason why our stories had nothing but Wicked all over it, because I do feel like we're defying gravity in so many ways. Women of color are constantly defying gravity. We're having to redefine ourselves. We're having to relook at those hard situations where we're bonding and we're getting close and attached to things, and then it paints out to be a different story or a different vision than what we expected. And I think, like, if you guys do not even, Cynthia, I mean, the way that she played this character is so iconic to the visual feelings of women of color, specifically Black women. And so I'm just so grateful that I got to experience that. But two, at the same time, like, there's plenty of other character story arcs. I think you mentioned Maleficent. Is that right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When we were talking about yesterday. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I guess the thing that when we were talking yesterday, I was thinking about how the storylines of these women, these two women that we have grown up knowing about, that in my mind, it was like they had a different sense of hunger. In my
Mhm.
mind, growing up, it's like, okay, Wicked Witch, Maleficent, their hunger was more of the power type of, a power hunger type of thing. And it was like, almost like I saw that as being an evil thing.
Mhm.
And that's not the case. I mean, it's not the case in power being an evil thing, and it's also not the case as these two strong characters were not necessarily, as we're finding out, that they're not as evil as we had perceived them to be, or were brought up for them to be, which in that case, I guess in the coming around with the mentorship and the community and support and all that stuff, it's power doesn't need to be seen as
Mhm.
it's not a bad hunger. I mean, it is a hunger.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it's a hunger, but it's not a bad thing.
Agreed. And how we label quote unquote bad and how we label quote unquote good, it really just makes us rethink about, again, our origin stories.
Yeah.
And how we choose to embrace each other and see each other for who we are, not the things that kind of showcase who we are, but who we are as individual peoples, our morals, our values. I love that. I think that was a really good point that you mentioned, leading up to that, about story arcs and how our hunger really helps drive us in a lot of ways, but also realizing that those are real challenges that we face in achieving equal opportunities. So, kind of going back to this pay gaps and career advancement, what are some strategies that we can use for overcoming these challenges and advocating for change? For the individual, it's definitely knowing your worth, right? Knowing that sometimes yesterday's price isn't today's price, knowing that, we're capable of doing more, but that doesn't mean that we need to get less for it, right? Like, there's a lot of that. Other areas like skill up, continuously investing in our professional development to stay competitive and increase our value in the marketplace. And then, of course, we've talked about this before, Priscilla, finding mentors and sponsors and knowing the difference between the two, right? Seeking guidance for those who have navigated similar challenges, but also having someone who can advocate for your advancement. Those are like big ideals for me, to constantly kind of, brew and stew over. As a person who does mentor, right, it's really important for me to provide not only valuable information, but continual educational resources so they can keep going back, keep learning, keep building, stuff like that. And then I think there was another one, like build networks, connecting with women and minorities. And I feel that's what this podcast is all about, right? We're supposed to be the safe place for women and minorities so that you all can feel empowered and encouraged and educated to take those next steps, whatever those next steps may be.
Yeah, I think that for me, I love the mentoring and the sponsoring. That stuff is really nice. I think the that's a little hard. I was thinking as you were saying this, I was thinking about, it's difficult, I think, for some people that maybe there are some personalities that may not be able to speak up for themselves. Like they may feel a little, insecure to say that. And it's easy to go for a mentor, I think, easy to go for a mentor and you kind of go on the side, hey, can you, like that. But when you have to go and, it's really helpful, I think, for those mentors and stuff to be able to advocate for the people, because I know for one thing for me, like I know I get a lot of work through word of mouth, more
Yeah.
so than me advocating for myself. And I think that, that is so helpful because, I think about if you're not really good at advocating for yourself, or you're not very, I guess it's not being very fruitful for you. And if you didn't have people to vouch for you or people to push you or people, whatever, then you'd kind of be a little bit stuck,
Yeah, I feel like that's exactly where. So I see a lot of young people that come to me and ask very similar things, and they feel stuck. They feel either limited because they don't know enough about the systems or things that they want to learn, or they feel limited because someone in some avenue in their life have told them they can't do it. Like, that's not achievable. That's not approachable for you. And I just love being able to tell tell people dismantle those, right? Dismantle those thoughts, unassociate with that type of thinking because that's what's preventing you from moving forward. So, being able to have that type of, again, mentorship and sponsorship that allows you to open up, try new things, and push yourself forward in a not necessarily harder, but in a different direction, maybe more aggressive direction, even. That's okay. That's
Yeah.
something that, I mean, iron sharpens iron. We say that a lot.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important that when we're thinking about young people who are going into these fields and just getting themselves started, we talk about ageism, right?
Mhm.
In a lot of areas where we see these young people, they are intentionally, very aggressive and loud and, that kind of feeling. I think that's great. I'm very aggressive and loud as well. I'm not very young, but it's one of the situations where, you see that, and sometimes that can dampen our own lights or our personal feelings around being able to be capable to do certain things. You see young people who take on all kinds of cool tips and tricks, and they have all these amazing cool
Yeah.
skills and what was I gonna say? Kind of like assets, if you will. People who are using tons of more advanced technological advancement things to do the things that would take us normally a little bit longer or more strung out to do. I'm just thinking about those creatives and those techies that are in those spaces that feel like, well, I can't get to that. But I'm like, okay, that's fine. But the goal here is to get where you want to go, not necessarily where you feel stuck.
Yeah.
So I really just kind of.
Oh, I was gonna say, sorry. It reminds me of how what we're talking about. Some people. I get all caught up sometimes when I've been out of social media for a little bit, not continuously going on, and when I get on there and I see there are kids that it's like you always see these things like these little kids are like they don't even speak and they already know all the, like for one
Yes.
they can like probably code something, right? This
Yeah.
one. But and it's difficult, but I think we go back to that whole the skill, right? If we know the basic skills of it, then it kind of doesn't really matter. I mean, not it does matter, that stuff helps, but if you were to take away all that flashy stuff, would they be able to be, and I think that's an important thing for for maybe younger people to understand is don't hide behind, like I always say, it's like the 80s movies where the girl's hiding behind the makeup and stuff.
Right.
Don't hide behind that because it's just a band-aid that's helping you perform and and do all this stuff. But it's like, if you take that all away, if you take all that high tech and all the things, do you still got it?
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
and I think that's the hard thing is like, as the older person going in and looking at all the things that everybody can do now, shit, it is so intimidating. And
Yeah.
that's what I think. I'm like, hell, I can't do any of this stuff, but I know what it is that I can do. And if I can figure out, thanks, Danielle, how to get the things done in the now thing, I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. And
yeah.
again, that comes with community,
Mm-hmm.
because that educational support and just being able to say, hey, I don't have the answers, but I can go XYZ and try to find them. Or I
Right.
know how.
Yeah.
Being resourceful, I think, is the number one soft skill set that anyone can have in any job set ever. Just being
Yeah.
resourceful. And so it's so helpful in this particular industry or these particular two industries because we can learn from each other quickly. And so I really, really, really support the fact that you mentioned that specifically on ageism, Priscilla. Like it's huge. It's something it's happening in a lot of different areas and spaces, but
Mm-hmm.
especially in these areas of tech and especially in these ages of the creative industries.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was a really good topic. Yay. All right. We can kind of go on to topic 4, combating burnout and feeding your passion. Right. What are some strategies we use for self care? How do we set boundaries? How are we feeding our passion to prevent burnout?
Ooh, I felt full all of a sudden.
Like burnout's real. Like it's
Burnout
real.
is so real. Burnout is so real, but I think I I kind of feel as if sometimes I don't prevent the burnout. I let the burnout happen because it's like, you've put the food in the oven, it's burning. You can't help but let it just, it's got to go out on its own, right? And it's kind of
Right.
like
Oh my
that,
gosh.
like you talk about when we're going, like if we're going through like big emotions and stuff, you can't just cut that off. I can't just all of a sudden say, okay, stop being burnt out. Okay, I got it. And I feel like that there is not really a way. I mean, there are ways that you can prevent from it happening,
Mhm.
but I feel as if it's kind of like burnout is inevitable, I do believe, especially as a creative, because at least I know in my case, and I know a lot of creative friends, when we're creative, it's that whole feast or famine,
Yeah.
and it just rolls. Like when you get on a creative roll, people that are not creative don't get this, that you are just like that snowball, that it's not stopping. You can't just go like this.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
gonna go. And if and when it does go and it keeps going, it's impossible for it to keep going like this, and you're not gonna get burnt out.
Yeah.
Like I know I go
Exactly.
through this all the time, like right before I do a launch or right before I do something big, or when we work on huge projects and we got the go and we're going and we're going and going and going. And then all of a sudden it's like, and then even after you, like I
Mhm.
think the other day Spooner said something like, there was so many like sighs. He's like, I've never heard so many, like and I was like, and I don't even know what I was doing. I think I was just playing a video game or something on my phone. But it's just that it's still that residual from happening of the whatever.
Yes.
And once you're in that, and it's because in my case, I am feeding that passion. I feed the
Mhm.
passion so much that it is so totally, you know, stomach ache, Thanksgiving full, but I want to go back for more. I'm going to go back for more because I love it so much.
Yeah.
I'll suffer for it later, but I think the hard thing is like not preventing the burnout, but it's like give yourself time to recoup from it. And I think that's the hard thing that I've experienced is that sometimes, depending on where we are at in our life, we may not feel as if we're not only just feel, we may not have that ability or luxury to get back up. And you might just have to
Right.
go for you're in burnout, but you still have to keep going to feed whatever. And so I think it's you might you're gonna come to a place where you might not ever figure it out. Like I feel like I'm never figuring it out, and I'm always constantly okay, this and this, but you'll figure something out that'll make it more that'll make it doable. Give
Yeah.
yourself that burnout day afterwards. Give yourself that time, right?
Yes.
To fill it out. Even if you have the elastic pants, heck, that elastic pants, you might need to snip it a little bit.
Now,
Let it breathe a little bit more, right? But
this I can totally
yeah,
relate to because I feel like in order for things to move, you have to let it flow and go, right? Like you
yeah,
have to let it flow. And so for me, like exactly what you mentioned, like if you're feeling those emotions, if you feel, shortness of breath every time that you have Thanksgiving dinner, things along those lines, let those emotions go. Like let them
yeah,
flow from you. Not necessarily flow as in to get away because we don't want you to escape those feelings. Your body is responding to something like when you're doing that. You listen to your
yeah,
body,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But the other part of that is like the mental part that we get stuck on. So even in our day-to-day jobs, right?
Mhm.
Working with clients that sometimes are pain for us, or working with being in situations with people that are not always gratuitous for us, right? All those type of situations are great examples of how we can actually use and set boundaries for ourselves and for others. So I'm a huge advocate for boundaries. I love setting boundaries. I set them with my kids. I set them with myself. I set them with my husband.
With
I set
me.
boundaries. I said boundaries with Priscilla. So I mean, it's so important. Like boundaries for me have been a very safe space to say this is what I can hold in right now. And after that, I have to, let it go, feel my feelings, let it go, and protect my peace. And so for me, protecting my peace looks in different ways. Like for me, it's crafting. I don't know if you follow me on TikTok or anything along those lines, you'll see that I do a lot of crafting during the winter, fall seasons. And that's because I protect my peace a lot during this time of the year. I love being able to use art therapy as a form for me to cope, as a way for me to process my feelings. But I also use it as a way also to set boundaries. And you'll see that throughout probably a lot areas of this podcast, even where I'm like, this is the form that we're sticking with today. So boundaries are important. Do them. If you don't already have some boundaries, put some small ones in place. Definitely around this time of the year, right? Like it's just kind of heightened areas for some of us, for many of us. And then of course we talk about self-care, right? Things that we do for self-care. I talked about the art therapy, but going for walks, being amongst the green, is a huge one for me. I'm a huge fan of sage in the house. So I don't have a ton of it, but I use sage throughout the house all the time. I love being able to talk to people that I haven't talked to in a while. There's certain people in my life that I talk to on a quarterly basis, and I do not talk to them every single day or week. I do it on purpose because it allows me to more deeply appreciate their words, their values, their contributions to me personally, like their wisdom. But it also allows me to kind of set boundaries, right? I don't have to be buddy buddy with every single person that walks into my life. I don't have to tell them when I'm going to the bathroom and when I'm changing my kids or when I'm, changing you don't need to know all that. You know what I mean? All those little details. But I like being able to set boundaries in that way, specifically for work as well. So even though a lot of times I kind of blur those boundaries on purpose, because a lot of the people that I work with, they're not just friends, they're colleagues, they're people that I work with, but they are friends. I consider them friends. And so it's really important for me to have that work balance flow as well. But yeah, like I'm totally interested in kind of knowing your thoughts on that too, Priscilla. Like, do you have that passion for some level of self-care that you do specifically to kind of help balance out work and home life? Or
well, I think mine has shifted into a different spaces where it was like before. I think it was so heavily work, right? As a single mom, work. Like as a single mom, it was like that was all that it was because you had to do it. It's like you had, not like I don't have to do it now, but it's like I'm in a different place where it's like in my brain and everything, things can kind of shift a little bit, more. And so I'm I'm luckily in that luxury space where it's not luxury space, but more able to give my heart isn't so. I was like always, my heart was always just into my work because it was what I was passionate about.
right.
And but in order to do that, to sustain for the family and stuff, and now it's like I'm in that lucky part where I am work wise. It's like I can feed on what it is really what my heart is wanting, and still, and that balance has kind of actually, I guess, somewhat really truly balanced a little bit. I mean, a lot of my friends know where it was so like that burnout was happening because I had to. But like right now, I was just thinking about this where you're talking about self-care and stuff. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing for self-care is taking care of letting my body speak for it for me and take care of it. Like I've had like, what was it? 2024 was or 2023, 2024 was the year of surgery.
Yes.
Right? And that has forced me to look at things and say, hey, I think we always say like the body is going to tell you. It's going, and it's not gonna, like, you may want to, but it will shut down. Our bodies will shut down when we're doing too much. I mean, I'm like the one, and I'm one of those. I can keep doing it. I can keep doing it. It's like that's just a flesh wound. No, it's gonna prevent you from doing what you want to do, and it's gonna tell you what you need to do. So as far as even that burnt out, even if we can't prevent it, it's inevitable. The body is going to stop you from burning out completely, exhausting you. And for self-care, it's like that's where I've struggled. Like I struggled, even as a single mother a couple years ago, freshly, I would have the weekends without my kids, and Tanya's asking, she's like, well, why do you always have to do something? Why can't you not? What do you mean? Why do I have to do something? Now I want to do something because I don't have to do something with all the kids. I want to do something with me, but yet at the same time, I would love to, but I don't want to waste, it's kind of like, I don't want to waste just sitting here not doing anything when I could do something for myself. And it's kind of like that now. It's like I have, although I think I am coming down with something. So I think I'm getting a little sick. And again, my body is saying, hey, you need to rest a little bit and we're going to make it happen for you. But I think self-care for me is listening to my body and letting nature, like true human body nature, do its thing. It sucks because that's not ideally what would I love for a self-care. Go to the spa, go to do the thing. But something as little as, hey, I got some gift cards for my birthday, and I went around to look over at Blick's art stores. I went over to Hobby Lobby, walking around like that and getting ideas. That was my self-care, is like thinking. But the funny thing for me is my self-care is so closely related to what I want, what I'm doing in a business, because that's what my heart wants. So, yeah.
I love that. And I love, this is a great example. Again, Priscilla, you're just off on it today. All these examples of how we can not only take care of ourselves, but take care of our minds, not just our bodies, but our minds. Yeah. You talked about how you were going through to look at examples, and that was feeding your soul, because it's not only intuitive to your body. Are you walking around and doing the things, but you're also in your mind, right? You're thinking, you're imagining, you're creating, you're playing in your mind. And I think that's also extremely encouraging for us in technical spaces. I feel like a lot of times when we're in those technical spaces, we feel like we can't play. We can only do X, Y, and Z, and we can only do this slot and this slot. We can only be on this level, and that's it. And it's so the opposite. I think because thank goodness, both of us come from these technical but creative backgrounds, where we do feel like we can have this element of play. We can imagine, we can think a little bit bigger. And I think that's really important, that we find some ways to always find an element of play in whatever it is that we are wanting or striving to do. Whether that's playing a game, or, hanging out with people, or just being in a different environment. Playing is unlocking so many other things and aspects of our mind and our bodies that we don't even know that we're doing until we complete it, right? Until we experience it. So right on. I love this. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I think, like, in areas, we have a little bit of like 3 tips, right? For kind of combating burnout. 1, don't just wing it when it comes to your well-being. Prioritize your self-care like it's a slice of pumpkin pie, right? The last slice, right? The last slice, because we garden that. Schedule time for mindfulness, exercise, and sleep. Those are the real side dishes for success, right? Set boundaries, like you're guarding the Thanksgiving leftovers. Okay, like I think these are right on time. Don't be afraid to say no. To overcommit and protect your time off, right? We talked about protecting your peace. Protect it like it's grandma's secret stuffing recipe. I love it. And feast on your passions. Priscilla, you nailed this. Continuously learn and seek new challenges to keep your enthusiasm cranberrying over.
Love that.
Remember your why and connect with inspiring mentors and peers for true cornucopia of support, which I love that imagery, cornucopia of support.
I am so, like, as you're saying this stuff, all those makes my stomach is expanding.
You wearing those stretchy pants, right?
I got sweats on, and the little string thing don't work, so I guess perfect.
All right, to wrap up the show, what are you grateful for?
This. I am grateful for this. I am grateful for this every single time. I mean, I know we talk a lot and stuff, but it's wonderful to, like, actually have, like, a direction of like, we're just not randomly do random, but and I also love being able to see your face and stuff. And it makes me feel like I'm actually outside of these walls, and I love, I love this space. I never thought, like, after how many years, I guess, of being with you guys and then finishing up, I don't know. It feels like I've always been here, but being officially part of the crew and stuff, it's always something that I'm always grateful for it every single time. And even though I know we meet live, like, once a month, um, it seems as if, like you were talking about, those friends like you don't see all the time. It's just like, it's kind of the same like that. It's like I just am like hanging out with my girls, like. I have friends that do the dinner clubs or the whatever clubs. I'm like, this is my club, that I go
Yes.
to. And it's great because it's nothing that it's not, it doesn't, I don't have to really plan hard, like who's going to watch the kids or who's going to do the whatever, or figuring out. And so it's just, I feel very lucky to be able to have this, and this break during the day and be able to have that, because it does, then it sets kind of the tone, even though I know it's going to be dark like here in 5 minutes probably, but it really does, it definitely feeds me, and it's so much cranberry, so much
I love it.
so many stuffings, so many, all the stuff. I mean, and I'll definitely be thinking about it when I'm making your sweet potato pie.
Oh, thank you. Sweet potato casserole is where it's at, man. I'm telling
Casserole, whatever. It doesn't matter if it's casserole, it's a pie. It's all pie to me, right?
It's all going in the same place, y'all.
Just get some whipped cream on it, and there you go.
Yeah.
You do have whipped cream in that recipe, right?
No, but it's an additive. You can add it if you want to. But yeah.
I'm going to add it. I'm going
Oh my
to.
goodness. All
What
right.
about you?
I am grateful for a lot of different things. Well, obviously the space, because it's really important that when I started this 6 seasons ago, we were with a little bit of a different group of women, and I had a very cool collective, thought and idea around just sharing our truths, right? The things that we've been able to triumph and not so triumph over, and use that as a way to kind of support and elevate each other in moments where we didn't feel like we couldn't keep going. And from that, it really has evolved into this cool tribe that is now all of us and is so inclusive. And I'm just so grateful that people get to listen to these stories of amazing minorities, men and women in these spaces, and learn from them. Also take not only their advice, but learn from the things that are not said and the things that are said. Learning from each other's personal stories. I think we've shared so much of ourselves, right, in the space. So those are the things that I'm grateful for, just being able to experience the community, the realm of MTG and at its greatest and its fullest. So that's what I'm grateful for.
Oh,
good
so no
time.
tears. We didn't even cry today.
I know, we're doing so good. I was close though. I mean,
I feel as if we need
Grace,
to do
man.
kind of some Barbara Walter moments sometimes, like try to see if we can make each other cry.
I'm down. Okay, you got it.
We'll do that.
We can just make that effort in all.
Oh my gosh, I just thought about baby Theo, and then
well, he's not a baby anymore. I mean, my kids are definitely.
Oh, I'm not even joking. I feel it coming up on there.
Oh my goodness. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for our friendship and our camaraderie. Absolutely love you, Priscilla. It's been wonderful.
I love you. I love you.
Okay, so all that mushy stuff. Thank you everybody. Just for tuning in. We're grateful for you. For tuning in to our live episodes of the More Than Graphics podcast. For exclusive bonus content, subscribe to our newsletter by visiting us at mtgthepodcast.com. And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram, on LinkedIn, or Facebook by following the hashtag MTGthepodcast. So until we meet again, we're reminding you that you're more than the work you produce, you're more than your name badge, and you're more than graphics. So we'll see you next time. Happy Thanksgiving, y'all.
Thanksgiving.
And just like that, the episode ends, but the convo has just begun.
Thanks for listening to the MTG podcast.
We want to hear from you. If you enjoyed our podcast, give it a review on your listening app of choice.
Continue to follow us across MTG socials.
And look out for bonus content releases throughout the year. This podcast is produced by Octane Design Studios.
Until next time.